Good morning, everyone. How are we doing this morning? I always start the live stream and then I look at myself in my camera right here and I realize that I don't have my TV on for that extra color in the background. Nonetheless, glad that you're here this morning. If you're here for the first time, welcome. My name is Tyler. I'm going to be helping navigate us through the wild world of day trading futures. And today is going to be a great day. We had the market sell-off yesterday from that sweep of the highs, and in the PM session and over Asia, we basically dropped. Made a big sweep of London low, hit the previous day low right here, and we've come back up and are consolidating right now. We're going to go over some higher time frame analysis, put together our plan, our process, and then we will get started on the day. But before we do, let's go ahead and open in prayer. Father, we just commit ourselves to you today. Lord, we thank you that your mercies are new every morning. We thank you that your grace is sufficient for us. We thank you that you are directing our steps. And Father, we trust your leadership and we trust your hand. Father, as you direct our steps, I pray that you'd bless the work of our hands and you'd bless everyone here, Lord, that they would see increase, that they would prosper with everything they set their hands to. And we say this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started for today. Excuse me. Let me update this. All right, let's take a look at the market. Let's see what we got going on. Good morning, Crystal, Sean, Randy, Georgette. Good morning. Jeff, Lamon, good morning. Jason, good morning. Corey, what's up? Adriana, yes. Rodriguez, good morning. Rannon, good morning. Nicole, Johnny Long. Is Johnny Long right now? Bad joke. Francis, good morning. Nathan, good morning. Invest in Faith, how you doing? All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the market. I dropped my chart into the Discord for those in the Academy to give us a quick, so you guys could get a more detailed view of what's going on. I marked out all of our higher time frame levels already. What you'll see here, we are on the, let's jump up one more time frame to the daily. So this is what we're looking at on a daily perspective. We swept external liquidity, okay, right here, and we closed back into the range. Then we dipped down into the daily fair value gap that was created by yesterday's candle. Consequently, we've also ran the previous day low, and we're staying beneath the previous day's midpoint as of right now. This candle is signaling lack of strength, but we've also rebalanced down to the daily fair value gap already. We are Thursday, so we have 2 more days, today and tomorrow. This is what the current candle looks like. We've ran the previous day high, or previous week high, and swept a couple weeks of price action. We could continue this slow grind lower, or we might push through this from a weekly perspective. Still, I would say from a weekly perspective, it's consolidating, so we need to drop down to the daily to get a little more clarity. And from the daily, I want to drop down to the 4-hour, and this is where we're going to try to pull our analysis. I'm interested in longs if we can close above this 4-hour fair value gap. If we don't, I'm going to treat this like a retracement to potentially go lower. So I'm interested in this 4-hour closing above. If we don't, I'm looking at this as a sweep of liquidity on the 4-hour time frame, a sweep of London high, and then rolling over and maybe targeting London low, continuing this higher time frame, this trend lower from yesterday's price action. We did create a 4-hour order block that makes me partial to shorts. I think I'm already just partial in general to shorts, and I'm recognizing that. We also have our swing high to swing low. This red line right here is our midpoint of this dealing range. I would love to see price want to reach up to this and then close inside of this if it wants to do that, but it's sufficient for me to see it sweep this liquidity right here. When we look at this entire range here to here, we can see this red line is the midpoint of that dealing range as well, which means we might be reaching for that level. If we do, we still have some room to trade, about 138, 150 handles, that there's room for us to participate in that. We have an unmitigated, an untagged 930 level. We have equal lows that haven't been tagged. And we have a London low here, 4-hour here, and a London low here, and an unmitigated new week opening gap down here. Now, there's reason for us to potentially mitigate some of that stuff, but the question is where is the nearest draw on liquidity? To me, the nearest draw on liquidity is London low. Dropping to the hourly. I have my personal account open right now. I'm going to change that here shortly. But I like this hourly. We swept the high, closed inside the range, and we have an hourly down here that was mitigated, but it looks as if we might do a continuation to the downside. Let's go ahead, drop down to the 5-minute, and let's mark out our opening range gap, which would have been from over here, which is a premium. More than likely, we're going to have a premium opening range gap. Swap some liquidity here. There's opening price. 930 model played out. Here's a small breaker right here. And then a higher, a little bit more prominent breaker here. We have a sweep of liquidity here. This candle right here is interesting. This was at 223 this morning. And we have a London low down here at around 680. We'll see if this is just manipulation or if it wants to continue here. I'm looking at this breaker as well. This could just be a sweep of liquidity for a continuation higher. From a news perspective, we got here Wednesday, Thursday, we have unemployment claims at 8:30 we had already. And that's it. I'm sorry. It's probably unpleasant to listen to. Right now, it's in the middle of my screen. We're going to see if this wants to do just a quick run down to this low. I don't know why it does that. Yep, it is there for a reason. So my coffin doesn't destroy everybody. Yeah, we'll get some music on here. Some music. There is not a best site to find the London low and London high, but my London low and London high is between 2 and 5. So you look at the high, and you find the high and you find the low in between 2 and 5 a.m. New York Standard Time. I have the feeling this might be aggressive right here. We'll see. All right, there is London low right there. I'm going to take this off here. For that short that I took right here, running to London low. Let's get some music on here. Okay, so now that we've ran that low, I'm still wanting to see, are we going to continue this trend? But because we've ran London low, it has permission to do something else. So before I make any judgment calls on what price is going to do, we're going to watch and see what price action does, and then we'll see if we can take a trade. I didn't show that trade because it was a momentum trade. If you want to see the executions, you can. I'll pull it up. Screen share. That was the trade that I took right there. And I sold it right at London low. I think there's mainly two reasons why I will not put a trade on my screen. Three. Number one, technically I don't have to. I have to remind myself of that because I feel a level of obligation to do that. Number two, it was a momentum trade, not something I promote very often. And number three, it's easier to take a trade when somebody else isn't watching. I don't know why. It just is. After doing this for a year and a half, it's just easier. I had this aha moment. I'm like, I watched so many traders live, and I'm like, why does it seem all of their trades that they take are always after the stream is over? And they get these trades and I'm like, I want to see it on the stream. And then it dawned on me, now being a streamer for a year and a half, and I'm like, it's because it's easier to take a trade when you don't have 100, 200, 1,000 people watching. It's just the truth. I don't want to hide the truth from anybody, but it is. I know you're just curious, BC, but it gives me a reason to talk about it. So, see how it's consolidating since it hit London low? Now we're waiting. We're waiting to see if it wants to do a continuation. If it does, we can take a fair value gap entry and take that. Do we have any fair value gaps since then? We do not. And we're not counting 930 as our first presented fair value gap. Even though it is a fair value gap, we're not counting it as our first. Well, I think it's decided. What do you think? Got London lows, or equal lows, and we got London low down here, and then we got even a lower London low down here. I'm going to drag over. We'll see if we can get an opportunity. Right now I'm using, I'm mitigating risk, and so I'm not trading all my accounts right now. I'm trading just take profit traders. Indicator I use is right here. You can take a snapshot of that if you want. Hasn't been a fair value gap entry at all. There hasn't been a fair value gap besides the very first one that has given us an entry. Unless you just want to take an entry. Sure. Wouldn't surprise me if this is the part where we go higher. And reaches that fair value gap. All right, so there's our fair value gap entry. Now we could, if we want, to use this as a potential area to go lower. Let's see if it finds resistance here. If it closes above this immediately, I'll probably take a long to that high. I don't like that there's a London low there, though. All right, no close above. Let's see if it finds resistance here. Let's look at the 15-minute time frame here. We got a breaker point right here, or I should say mitigation, because it's not necessarily a breaker. All right, I'm going to take a small short here. Let's see if it wants to continue lower. Play on the side of the trend at the moment. Set our stop right at that high. And see if it wants to continue lower. If it doesn't, this is the spot where it would bounce. This is a small trade. That good luck sounds more like I wouldn't be doing that type of trade. I'm watching these wicks to see if it creates a wick or if it pushes below it. Gonna sell one contract there. That'd be a stop. Yes, you should include the volume imbalance for the most part. There are scenarios where I won't, but most of the time I will. Equal lows is at 590. And then we have a London low here at 527. I'm probably gonna, if this is willing to go, I'm probably gonna let it go. If it's going to have a hard time closing below this fair value gap right here, then we might close the position or move our stop to break even. Oops, I'm gonna move my stop to break even once this, if it gives me an opportunity. Gonna set it at the high of that candle. Probably get stopped out. All right, stopped out. Reason I closed that is the unwillingness to close below this fair value gap right here. January 6th, BISI. That's how I have it right now. And then what I would do in this case is I would put a volume imbalance here, separate. So that volume imbalance is sitting right there. Why didn't I? Because sometimes if it's not obvious, I won't. I will just make a separate fair value gap for it. If you want, the other thing is I admittedly am not the best at doing quadrants. They talk about quadrants all the time. ICT Concepts talks about quadrants. I haven't found the value. This would be the quadrants. And that's the only reason you would do it, is you're breaking it down based on quadrants, and I don't use quadrants. So, not because I don't want to, it's just I'm not seeing the major value of it. You could say, well, it dipped down into, but how do I take that as a trade idea? How is it helping me with my trade plan? I don't have a clear answer to that. So I don't do that. And I use the fair value gaps and volume imbalances. If the volume imbalance is large, I include it. It's subjective at this point for me. What's up? I haven't used these long enough. I started becoming profitable without these, so I never incorporated the quadrants into my trading. I know there's a value. I mean, ICT wouldn't use them if he didn't like them, and I know other traders that use them as well. But it hasn't clicked for me. There's moments in your trading where things start to click, and it just hasn't clicked for me. So what would you grade this at? If it's a grading system, if it hits the third quadrant or it dips into the fourth quadrant but stays in the third, how would you rate that? To me, I feel like we're just going to keep going lower right now. And if we close below this inversion, I'll consider taking another trade to the downside. It's already at almost 10 o'clock, so I like that time frame. Yeah, but I have midpoints in everything that I do anyway. I'm talking about the quarters. So 1 and 3. 1 and 3 are the ones that I haven't understood. I understand 0, 1, I understand the top, the bottom, and the midpoint. I get that. But these ones here I haven't grasped. I'm going to enter a trade here again. As long as we continue and don't close below, or as long as we don't get back up here, or we don't close. As long as we close below it, I'll stay in the trade. But if we get back into there, I'm just going to get out. Sometimes these trades, yeah, like that right there. So sometimes these trades will actually run the whole thing before it closes, and so that's what that trade was. It didn't, so I got out immediately. I should put on my screen. This will be the 10 o'clock candle. Be interesting to see if it actually runs these lows as part of the 10 o'clock candle. Like that, this type of move right here. This is an example of one that's not closing below, or there it is right there. Heat equals lows. Let's see if it runs to this volume imbalance here. All right, I'm gonna close that position again. We hit that. I don't know what that level was. Oh, that was the volume imbalance and the previous week midpoint. So I sold there. I'm up around 400, a little over $400 per account today. I'm trading just my take profit trader accounts today. I'm gonna get some stuff ready for our daily affirmation here. We could find a retracement at this level, I think. Wow, there it goes. Quite the reaction higher, huh? See what we got here. Do we got a 5-minute? We have a 5-minute fair value gap right here. We'll see if it can close above it or if it was just a manipulation to continue lower, which is a real possibility here. We have London lows still. We do have to give some form of retracement, but if we look at this 4-hour fair value gap or 4-hour candle, we have a sweep of liquidity at 2 a.m. or 6 a.m. candle. I want to anticipate this being another bearish candle. So we get a retracement, be looking for something around London low up here, or if it wants to leave a fair value gap, it won't go much higher, right? If we start pushing past the London low, we're probably not getting that complete expansion lower. From an hourly perspective, this candle here, we're looking for it to create a fair value gap somewhere around there. 15-minute, we want it to enter into the 15-minute fair value gap. So I'm watching that 15-minute BISI, or SIBI, I should say. We'll delete that. But the strength here is quite strong. based on how these candles look. Anywhere from 1 to 5 micros for the most part. Tap. I see the SMT. Yeah, I think I've seen trades like this go very far. I've seen stuff like this go a long way. So my question is, do we just find resistance here? There's the tap of the London low. All right. Once we hit 75 likes, folks, we will do our daily affirmation for today. $75. Once we hit 75, we'll look at our affirmation for today. I want to go long and short at the same time, and I want both to be right. I really do like this strength right here. This is, I'm not gonna lie, that looks attractive. If we look at this range here, where could it reach up to if it was going to stop? And it would be somewhere around here where that red line is. I'm gonna get rid of those. So we'll see how it wants to interact right here. If it pushes through this level, that'd be crazy if we got one of those types of candles, because the 4-hour candle has really given us direction here. But when we get that and we are still bullish, sometimes it'll leave this low and then just start running the complete other direction. Here's an example of it. Here's an example of it. All the major swing lows. Here's one where the 10 o'clock was consolidating, consolidating, consolidating. And then at 2 a.m. it takes off. I think it's probably safer to continue to look for shorts, to be honest. That's weird. That tells me it wants to run higher. That's what this tells me. Or at least sweep it and then come back down. It all depends on if you want it to move slower or faster, I guess. I like NQ. It's what I've traded. So I'm watching this candle right here. Does it lose everything that it just made? Because if it does, that's probably a sign of a sweep to start moving back the other direction. And I would anticipate, if that's the case, it would look something like this. It has to do with what you prefer, really. I know people that love ES. I know people that hate ES. I like NQ. Five-minute has created a potential breaker right here. So if price comes back down into this fair value gap, if it finds support here, that would be a place for it to bounce. The hourly has 42 minutes. We have a lot of time. The chances of it coming all the way back here and closing that way is just not very likely. It's a low probability. So for us to anticipate that price is going to move so fast that we are going to miss it and we have to get in right now, that's just not the reality. We have the 15-minute candle where we wicked up into this 15-minute fair value gap. And this candle is the candle that swept the lows and filled out that volume imbalance. It also is the candle that hit the weekly midpoint. We've already ran our previous week high, so I know that this is out of the question down here. I'm talking about for the rest of the week. We are not going to hit this. it's really far away too. But the reason for the shorts initially was because of the market maker sell model. Here's the buy side and there's the sell side. Completion would be at the London low. Now, if we are not planning on going lower, it can stop right here after this sweep of liquidity, leave the London low, and go higher. Here's an example. I mean, here's examples. Maybe it wants to reach here and here, but not run this one. We don't always know what the completion is for the market maker sell model, especially in a bullish market. We just can anticipate where we would want to see potential reversals from. Yeah, that would make the most sense, BC, is for a 5-minute retracement. This is where you would take that long right here. It's also a breaker right here. So the moment you hit the breaker, the moment you're entering into the 5-minute. The thing is, if we do that, it could do something like this and move up from there. It's just hard to want to fight against the direction that we've created. I will say that the 10 a.m. gave us our swing low. When that happens, we usually don't come back down and hit it for a while. Not when I say a while, I'm talking like from a day's perspective, not from like a weekly, monthly perspective. Go back and look at any time 10 o'clock made a swing low or swing high. If you can find it, you'll find anytime a low made a swing low or swing high, many times it doesn't go back and tag it. Six more likes, guys, and then let's do our daily affirmation. Give me 6 more likes and we'll do our daily affirmation here. There we go. All right, let's do our daily affirmation here. All right, guys, this one should be well known by now what our focus is when we go to Proverbs 18:21. Talks about the power of the tongue. So I want to remind you, what does your words look like? What do your words sound like? Are your words positive? Are your words negative? Are your words bringing life or are they bringing death? Now, it doesn't mean that you don't do anything wrong and can't say that was dumb. That was dumb. But when you're talking to yourself, I never and will never say things like, Tyler, you're stupid. Never. I reject that, by the way. Never will I use that as part of my language. Because your words have life. So today I speak life, wisdom, and truth. My words carry power, and I choose them carefully. I align my speech with faith, not fear, knowing that life and direction flow from what I declare. Life and death, life and direction flow from what I declare. I align my speech with faith, not fear. With faith, not fear. Your words are powerful. Let's use them to build us up and not tear us down. That's why I am so adamant on the chat. If there's crap in the chat, I'm going to get rid of it. If there's a critical spirit, we're getting rid of it. Just, I'm not going to allow it. Now, as thus far, I don't have thousands of people looking at watching my live stream, so it's a little bit easier. We'll see what happens when we get up there. We might have to recruit some help. I'm just sitting here. Just sitting here. Got nothing on the charts. What do you think the answer to that is, Michael? What do you think the answer is? Right, that's why, Willem, if you use your words, when you have negative thoughts, you must speak positive words. So I put this level here. It's 50% of this right here. I want to see if it wants to reach back down here. I'm willing to take a trade like this, but I need to see a model somewhere in here, and I'm not seeing it quite yet. The answer's walk away. How it depends on how long you've been trading and how well your psychology is. It's not necessarily bad psychology, but you need to understand who and what you're dealing with. Yeah, that was a quick loss. Yeah, nice quick boom. I'm still we'll drag this up. We'll drag this up. So what I'm doing is I'm dragging my midpoint level as price moves higher until I see structure that supports a trade to the downside to play a retracement to the midpoint. I'm willing to do that because we have a bias trade, we have direction. Anything that's going this way has a tendency of moving back at least 50% before continuation, unless it's just a V-shaped recovery. And if it's a V-shaped recovery, it's not going to give us an entry anyway. Elizabeth, I will tell you this. I meant to do something over the holidays and I didn't. So why don't we do a 2026 sale. Start of the new year. Start of the new year, committing for a year, going through education and the process for an entire year. We're going to do that. Let me get that set up, and then anybody that wants to use it can. We'll do that here. Sorry, I have to remove my screen again. Whole bunch of nothing right there. That's frustrating, isn't it, BC? That's frustrating. I've been trading for 3 years. 2023. Yeah. So I started in 2022, but I didn't really start learning until around 2023. April, when I came across ICT concepts. All right, so here's what we're going to do. For those that want it, all right, here you guys go. That will be live for the rest of this week. We'll do it till the 15th, halfway through the year. So 15th. I'm going to have this expire on the 15th. So the code is New Year. It'll give you a discount to joining the Academy. Yes, it is. I'll be right back. Nice short there, BC. Okay, so if I think that we might find support here, what am I going to look for? I'm going to wait for a 1 minute change in state of delivery. I'm not going to try to catch a falling knife, because what if it keeps going? It keeps going. I want to wait for a close above a down close candle. Okay, we went all the way back up here. Okay. The hourly, we left a potential hourly fair value gap. Do we want to do that? Does it want to reach up to it? It could. Hourly BISI, SIBI, I should say. This is against the trend I talked about yesterday, being careful about going against the trend. So I'm only going to do a micro. I think we could find support here. That's why I'm willing to consider it. And then reach back up here to the hour and then sweep this high, and then it could move lower from there. We'll know pretty quickly if it's going to or not. All right, so no change in state of delivery yet. Well, isn't that not fun? All right, so here's our change in state of delivery. I'm going to see if it wants to drop a little bit right here. All right, I'm going to take a small long position right there. Looking for it to reach that level. And as long as we stay inside this 5 minute, I don't like how large that is. So we're gonna have to do it based on this 1 minute fair value gap. That's the fair value gap we inversed. I did not take the short. I said I was going to take a long if it got down into this area, anticipating it finds support here. Gonna set my stop at break even. I want to see this fair value gap to be a breakaway fair value gap. I don't want it to touch this. It dipped into the previous one, so I want to see an expansion here at least to this high. Either way, it's a free trade for me. That's a big 15-minute wick right there. I would love for this to close green in the next minute. If it does, I may consider moving my target higher. we're in a trade right now. We are long. Break even is the bottom one. Yeah, I guess it's not very clear on that chart, is it? Well, let's make it clear here. We are long right here. We're looking for that target there. And I've set my stop at break even. Probably gonna get stopped out right here. But we'll see what happens. All right, stopped out there, break even. Let's see how it reacts to this fair value gap here. If it has a reaction here, I may re-enter. Let's see if this fair value gap can hold. Yes, we are. We're doing some back testing today on Discord. We'll be going over the 4-hour time frame and sweeps of liquidity. They'll be at 10:30 or it would be at 11:30. Interesting. There's a 3-minute fair value gap that has a BPR right here that has been untouched. I got the feeling we might want to reach down into it. We'll be at 11:30 New York Standard Time. I think I'll probably call it a day on trading here. There's no reason for me to take any more trades. We're up over $400, so no reason to give back profits. So I think what we'll do here is we will call it here. I don't really have a daily goal, Michael. It is good to get a win after yesterday, yeah. And I made back from that loss. I think we lost $270 on that trade. We made back that plus some. So proper risk management is everything. We're going to call it a day here. I'm going to get ready for that, get a couple things done before our back testing session. If you are not a part of the Academy, you consider joining. There's a discount. We're doing a promo, new year for 2026. So consider it. Other than that, guys, God bless you. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And we will see you all here again tomorrow. All right? Take care. God bless. Discounts linked on the top. Anything that you're interested in is linked at the top of the chat. Take care. God bless.